All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another video today. My name is Chris, and today I want to go ahead and make a video talking about what the future for Sears is face-to-face instead of doing it on the computer. Now, yes, guys, you have seen several videos from me over the past couple of months of going over some Sears closings, some Sears store lists, liquidating, non-liquidating locations, and just going over lists of stores and locations and showing them off. But in this video today, I wanted to talk about what the future for the two iconic brands is and what is going to happen after these rounds are done liquidating, what has been the game plan at Sears for a long time. And I really wanted to make this video today to go over that game plan. And unfortunately, the game plan is very obvious. You have to kind of look close enough. The game plan is it's game over for Sears and Kmart. It's unfortunately sorry, I had to scratch myself. That is the game plan for Sears and Kmart going forward. All the properties are basically up for sale at this point. It's really just the real estate and getting a tenant in that new spot. I can go over some fine examples of a decision where they decided to close a store because another brand bought the lease. Right here in my home state of New Jersey, Target actually bought out the lease for the Kmart in Kearney, and that's why it's liquidating, because they're going to completely reconvert that from a Kmart to a Target, as there is not a Target nearby that is south of Clifton. So but the game plan for Sears and Kmart, it is so obvious. It's basically over for Sears and Kmart. And, they're liquidating fixtures and non-liquidating stores, and what else is really just sad is now they have actually bought in a rug department. And when you bring in a rug department, yeah, it's basically over for Sears. And look, the brands really don't have a foreseeable future. There's less than just under 50 locations remain, and I'm sure we'll be seeing another round of stores closing. I would say, if not next week, then at some point in May, we should be seeing another round of stores closing. At this point, they're just closing stores left and right. We see that now. A couple stores are going to be closing this Sunday, including one in my home state of New Jersey, the Belleville Kmart. Kearney one's closing May 2nd. And also Sears at Green Acres Mall in Valley Street, New York, and the last two Kmarts in Pennsylvania are closing this Sunday. But I really wanted to make this video to address what the game plan is and how Eddie Lampert really is involved. And Eddie Lampert was only interested in the real estate. That's what a lot of people don't realize. They can say all they want, oh, they never did this, they never evolved. It was about the real estate with Eddie Lampert. It was never about, investing in the stores, making the employees happy and having them, work in a good environment. It was never about that. It was when he took over in 2013, that's when the closings really started. I mean, okay, yes, there were closings when Eddie Lampert wasn't CEO, but the second he became CEO of Sears and Kmart, it was basically just about closings from then on out, because in 2014, New Jersey, at least in my area, we got hit with the first major closing in 2014. That was only a year after Eddie Lampert became CEO of Sears and Kmart. And basically, for the last 7 years, Sears and Kmart in the United States have been closing stores left and right. And that also includes the territories outside the United States, and also Alaska and Hawaii, and then et cetera, et cetera. But the game plan is very simple, and it's so obvious, too, that Eddie Lampert just wanted to milk on the real estate and walk away with billions, and he's done that successfully. A lot of people don't realize that, but he walked away with billions while, the little guy that was working inside the Sears and Kmart stores just to get by got completely crushed, And it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate, because it didn't have to be this way. Because back in the day, Sears and Kmart, they were the inventors of, they were pioneering retail left and right. But we know what the game plan is at this point. They're just going to be selling off the properties for I bet for like pennies, like for huge losses. And, the coronavirus pandemic doesn't make the situation any better for Sears and Kmart. As a matter of fact, it makes it even worse, because it's less desirable for tenants who want attractive locations and want to pick up leases for like pennies on the dime. Look, at the end of the day, Sears and Kmart are basically done. There is no future for Sears or Kmart. The only future for them is basically SB360 Capital Partners LLC coming into the last 49 stores, liquidating the merchandise, getting out. Sears and Kmart are basically history, or they get bought by Amazon. One or the other is going to most likely happen. And I think it's going to be this year. I don't see Sears and Kmart going to 2022. I see them maybe holding on for the rest of this year, but I would say by the end of this year, Sears and Kmart will be no more. And to be honest, I mean, think about how many locations are gone. And, that's how you got to look at it as, it's unfortunate that all this had to happen. Coronavirus definitely, I mean, and this is another thing. This is another thing that I want to basically clarify in this video. Sears and Kmart were closing stores left and right for many years. Same could be said for Fry's Electronics, but that's not what this video is about. This video is focusing particularly on Sears and Kmart. But they've been closing stores for years left and right. It's just the coronavirus pandemic has definitely added on a burden to a company that was already going down the tubes before the pandemic hit early last year. But I wanted to really give my thoughts and express, the unfortunate circumstances going on at Sears and Kmart. The people there right now are basically just hanging on, doing what they got to do, and eventually they're going to meet the same fate that some people are going to be meeting this Sunday or May 2nd or late June or early June. So the people now that are at the non-liquidating stores, are working their butts off, because they probably know too eventually that they're going to meet the same fate. They're going to be in the same situation as these workers, unfortunately. But the other issue is, they recently closed a calling center, I believe, in San Antonio, Texas. They sold Novel Solutions to Costco. They sold Land's End. I mean, they sold every piece just to keep the company afloat. So, I mean, I think everybody knows what the game plan is, and I myself have come to terms to accept that it is over for Sears and Kmart, and there's no future there whatsoever. And basically anybody who gets hired now is basically getting hired by SB360 to basically just liquidate their merchandise. And not only that, but to also prevent people from filming inside the stores. It's a really weird rule that the liquidators have, but my guess is I guess they just don't want bad press. So that's probably why they implement the rule. But and the story behind that, and I know this is probably going on for a little bit, but the story behind that is SB360 Capital Partners LLC calls the physical store, and they inform the general manager to say, listen, we don't want anybody filming inside the stores, and you got to tell them you can get kicked out, or, risk losing that job that you got just to get hired to liquidate. So even then, it really is a sad situation for Sears and Kmart, but Eddie Lampert and it's just sad. I mean, even Larry Costello, he took his picture down, I think, on his, I don't know, it was a website. He's so embarrassed to have his picture up there. And I could see why. I mean, look at the state and disarray and disrepair Sears and Kmart are in. Look, at the end of the day, it's a sad situation. It's an unfortunate situation. And I think the one thing that I think would have kept Sears and Kmart afloat, two things. Number one, if the Sears brand concept expanded and it was like Walmart, we would not have Walmart. We would absolutely not have Walmart that we were today. Number two, you have Kmart Supercenters being a different, like one place you have a Sears brand and then a Super Kmart. If those two types of stores expanded, we wouldn't have Target and Walmart. We definitely wouldn't have, because if Kmart reinvented itself to make itself look like a Target, we wouldn't have Target. We'd still have Kmart, but a much more up to speed, marketing with social media and all that stuff, having Starbucks, but that wasn't the case. And the Sears brand, I think, would have kicked the crap out of Walmart if they would have expanded on that, but they didn't do that either. So unfortunately, this is how Sears and Kmart are in this situation now. Both companies, or stores rather, really have no future. And at this point, they're just hiring people to, do the liquidation sales. That's what SB360 Capital Partners LLC is doing. But anyways, I wanted to make this video quick because I wanted to give my thoughts on where Sears currently stands and really what the future is, honestly, because I do it in live streams, but there's not like an official video, and now this is that official video talking about the future for Sears and Kmart, which, I've come to accept the terms that Sears and Kmart are essentially done at this point. So Anyways, guys, that's about going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and that will be it.